The number of university students in America in 2023 who said that they had experienced moderate to severe psychological distress was 76%. I think it's pretty conservative. Around that same time, 30% of students tried or thought about taking their own life, and 13% actually went through with it. 1/3 of university students do not finish their degree, and 30% of those will drop out in their first year. We know we have a mental health crisis in America. We know we have a mental health crisis in the world. And we know those stats. We've heard those stats many times. We've heard the stats about suicide ideology, about stress and burnout and anxiety and depression and loneliness and substance misuse. And we are doing so many things right. Clinical interventions, support groups, etc. But maybe we're not doing enough. We need to be treating students like who they are, the leaders of tomorrow, the doctors that will be taking care of us tomorrow when our bodies start to fail us. They will be the CEOs of the next companies, the leaders of our next nations. How can that happen if we're losing 1/3 of them during their education? How are we not equipping them with the tools to survive these years, these critical years with a lot of stressors? But we need to give them tools to thrive. And when it comes to mental health, it's a very tricky area because some people are very happy to talk about it, but that's the minority. Most people are not happy to talk about it. It's scary to be vulnerable. And we have a big challenge of people wanting to come forward when they're in pain, because that takes a lot of bravery, a lot of courage. So you've got courage and vulnerability, and you're not feeling too good. That's a very hard thing to do. What we need to do is we need to give students a place where they feel safe enough to be vulnerable and courageous, to be heard, to be seen. Because I hear that a lot. That's what they really want, is to be listened to be not judged, to eradicate stigma, to be treated as fallible, and that's okay, to be treated as someone who has a medical condition, and that's okay. Because the last time I checked, the brain was an organ in the body. So we are talking about healthcare. And we love to separate it, physical health and mental health, but it's the same. We have health. And we have health conditions. And it's okay to talk about having the flu, but it's not okay to talk about having anxiety. I have a 25-year background in emotional intelligence, but mostly dealing with adults in corporate situations. And it's almost humorous that we get to that point and those skills still are not somehow embedded, when they really should be embedded maybe in grade 1, grade 2, at least grade 6. Because high school, I don't know about you, but I do not want to go back to high school. Those were terrible years. And we didn't have social media then. There wasn't a lot of the stressors that we have now. I didn't feel a lot of unrest and, with recessions and, the global economy. And we certainly didn't have the reach that we do now. We wrote letters and they went in the mail and you got a response a week later. But times have changed. We see Instagram profiles. We see a lot of masks and a lot of people staying silent, especially those who are trying so hard to be a good daughter, a good son, a good student, a good role model, a good scholar, Why are we not equipping them from day one with an environment where we can talk about how we feel and make it okay, normalize it? Now, I'm all in favor of clinical interventions when it does come to mental health conditions or substance misuse, where it might be most appropriate to involve our doctors, to involve medicine, to involve long-term psychology, and those people are trained to do that. But most of the time, we can get 80% of the way there by just allowing people to feel seen and to have a voice and to use that voice, even if the voice is no more than a squeak. I have an idea, a solution, a way that we can start moving forward in mental health conversations and start to recognize things like substance misuse patterns, even before their university years get to the point where they're ready to drop out. I want to introduce you to Rebuild. Now, I've been doing emotional intelligence training for 25 years and Lego serious play training for roughly about 5 or 6 years. And there is power in play. There's power in imagination. There's power in storytelling. And there's power in taking what is inside of you and pulling it externally so that you can use bricks as metaphors to talk about the things that you're too scared to talk about when you preface it with an I. So Rebuild is a 3-hour workshop and aimed at undergrads. We invite them into the workshop and there's 3 stages. Stage 1 is we just give them a handful of bricks. Now, I'm using Duplo up here, but imagine the smaller bricks, the ones that you step on in the middle of the night, those kind. And they just get a bag of bricks, and we don't really explain why they're getting them. But then we say, well, look at the bricks. It's chaos, isn't it? Doesn't that look and feel like chaos, like your life, your financial stress, your relationship stress, your academic performance stress, your loneliness at times? And okay, all right, there's a lot of challenges. Okay, now we're going to do something with that mess of bricks, now that we've identified that chaos is okay. It's just life. And the second part of the workshop is we identify with each participant what is standing between you right now. What are your blockers right now from achieving what you want to achieve tomorrow, being the best person that you can be, or whatever your goal is. But there is something that's between you and where you want to be. And that's where a lot of those mental health challenges come in, is that fight, that struggle between who we are right now and who we ideally want to be. But we don't know how to get there, and we're afraid to ask. So we're gonna do that, but we're gonna build it. So it's not about you, it's about the brick. We don't talk about you, we talk about the brick. The brick is symbolic for the pain, the struggle, the memories, the grief. But when you take it out of you and you can talk about the brick having a story, it's powerful. And then when you can be with your peers in a circle of community and see that other people have challenges too, and they're scared to talk about them. But they are, and we are, and we're relating to each other. And we're building stronger relationships to support each other. Then we go into a group debrief, and everybody talks metaphorically about their bricks and the story that they have just created with their bricks. There's no personalization. But everybody talks, everybody listens, everybody gives respect, everybody feels seen and heard. Then, the next part, the final part, is to break it all down. Okay, great. Now you know where you are. We all know where you are and what we have to do. But in order to get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we have to build an action plan out, hence Rebuild. We take the same bricks that were causing you challenges, We don't elect to leave one to the side because we can't do that in ourselves. We can't say, well, I don't really like the anxiety that I feel, so I'm just going to leave that part out and I'll just build my idyllic life over here without that. We can't do it. So we're going to use the exact bricks and we're going to build an action plan to get out. And this workshop, it is powerful. And it is powerful when people talk about their bricks. There was one young lady in a workshop that I did who built what looked like 4 walls. And inside of it, she put one single red brick. And I said, tell me about that brick. What does that represent? And she said, anger, fury. But I don't think I've ever used those words before. Imagination and play-based emotional intelligence has power, more power. In fact, I think it was Einstein that said, imagination is more important than knowledge. There is so much that we can do beyond our conscious thinking, beyond our fears of being judged, shamed, ridiculed, left out. When we come together and we metaphor together, there's power in those solutions, and everybody walks out knowing what they need to do next. I want to bring Rebuild to many campuses, to many workplaces, to many people who could benefit by being in a workshop like that. And then let's train people who are really excited about bringing it on and keeping the momentum going with a Train the Trainer program. There's sustainability potential, there's collaboration potential, there's research potential, and there's a really strong ROI in community and collectiveness and supporting each other for being human. Instead of asking students to talk when they can't yet speak, let's give them something to build instead.